What's going on, YouTube? This should be a short video because there's really not that much to say outside of I was right yet again. And what I'm talking about is Michael Pachter. He's recently came out and ran his mouth again. And for those of you who don't know who this guy is, he's basically a video game analyst where 99.9% of the things he says ends up being wrong. And the exact opposite usually ends up happening. So he's not a very good analyst, but he's basically came out and said casual gamers aren't going to buy the next generation systems. And of course we all know that's just a stupid thing to say. Maybe they won't buy, no, maybe not as many would, but he was just talking about they're not going to upgrade, period. They're not going to want a next generation system, which is just bullshit. But, you know, since he came out and made a new stupid statement, you know, it just kind of reminded me of something he said a long time ago. And the thing he was talking about was the handhelds. And he was talking about how smartphones and iPads were going to put a dent into the handheld sales. And for those of you who may be, you know, long-time subscribers of me, you guys know the video I did way back then. You know, and I was talking about, no, you know, smartphones aren't going to do much to the sales of the next generation Sony and Nintendo platforms. You know, I'm talking handheld platforms. And while you could argue, you know, oh, you know, the Vita isn't so right now, that's just because of its library. You know, we all know that. So, no, it's not because of smartphones or pads. But, you know, basically, the point I'm making here is, I'm sure a lot of you know where I'm getting at. Fast forward to 2012. The DS and PSP came out 2004, 2005. You know, it depends on what region, you know, you're talking about. So, these two systems came out 2004, 2005, when smartphones really weren't the norm. They were just being introduced, you know, they're just, you know, getting there. And pads definitely weren't really, you know, there at the time. So those two platforms, 3DS, the DS sells what, over 150 million. PSP sells, I think it's at like 77 million. Pretty good sales. Okay, so fast forward to 2012. Between now and then, smartphones have caught on. They're the norm now. If you don't have a smartphone, you're lame. You're behind the times. You know, and pads are the big thing right now. Yet, despite the fact that smartphones are big, and pads, you know, are, you know, big, the 3DS actually ends up outselling the DS for the first year. It's selling at a faster rate that the DS did. It is on track to sell more than the DS. See the point I make here? Dude is just wrong, and I called this a long time ago before the 3DS even launched. Nobody is going to take Angry Birds over a dedicated handheld device. One disadvantage phones will always have is lack of buttons. And gamers, they're going to want their buttons. So there will always be a market for handheld gaming machines. Nobody's going to say, oh, I don't need to bring my 3DS. I don't need to bring my Vita because I have Angry Birds. You know, nobody's going to say that. And I know some of you, you know, trying to be smart asses, you're going to say, oh, well, the Vita isn't selling well. We all know why the Vita isn't selling well. It's not because of smartphones or pads. It's just because it doesn't have those games out right now, you know, that appeal to the mass market. That's pretty much it. And yeah, it is a little pricey, but still, it would be selling, you know, more than it would now if it just had, you know, more compelling games out there, you know, for the mass market. So it's not phones or pads. So you guys see what I'm saying. This guy, he just 99.9% of his predictions are just wrong. He talks out of his ass. It's just hilarious. Just another time where, you know, I predict something, I end up being right. You know, I know what I'm talking about. But that's it for this video. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to put that out there. I'll see you guys later.